Every family has a story. Some stories are passed down proudly, told around dinner tables for generations. Others remain hidden, buried, lost in dusty archives, or deliberately erased. Tonight, we're exploring one of those stories. This is the tale of the forgotten lineage of the Duvall family, a name that once held power in early America, but whose secrets were carefully concealed. For over 2 centuries, the Duvalls were whispered about in small towns, their records scattered, their legacy fractured. What really happened to them? And why did parts of their ancestry vanish from official history books? As we uncover their reality, you may find that the truth of the Duvalls is not just about one family. It's about how history itself is written and rewritten. The Duvall name can be traced back to Normandy, France in the early 1600s. They were minor nobles, farmers, and traders living in a time of upheaval. Religious wars, shifting alliances, and the push for the New World created a crossroads for families like theirs. By 1650, Marine Duvall boarded a ship bound for the English colonies. He settled in Maryland, where land was plentiful and opportunities endless. Marine quickly rose in prominence, acquiring land, slaves, and influence. But here lies the first mystery. Early colonial records show that Marine married twice. His descendants from the first marriage are well documented. But the children from his second marriage? Their records vanish. Some historians believe they were intentionally erased due to alliances with indigenous tribes or because they threatened inheritance claims. This missing branch is the beginning of the Duvall secret. In the late 1600s, whispers grew about the other Duvalls. According to oral tradition, one of Marine's sons, Etienne Duvall, married into a family of mixed African and indigenous heritage. This was scandalous in colonial Maryland, where racial boundaries were already being hardened by law. Local records show Etienne purchased land on the edge of town, near trade routes frequented by free black families and native tribes. Then, nothing. His name disappears from tax rolls. His children's names are missing from church baptism records. Yet DNA evidence from modern descendants suggests this branch survived, blending into communities, labeled as free people of color long before emancipation. Why were they erased? Because to acknowledge them meant acknowledging interracial unions at a time when such truths threatened the power structure. The Duvall family, it seems, wasn't just erased from records. They were deliberately reclassified into oblivion. By the 1770s, America was burning with revolution. Members of the documented Duvall line fought proudly for independence. Their names are etched in official rosters. But what about the hidden branch? There are scattered reports of men with the surname Duvall fighting in militias, but marked with an asterisk labeled as mulatto or colored. These soldiers rarely received pensions. Their service was filed away in separate archives. One pension application from 1821 tells of a soldier named Jonathan Duvall, who claimed to have fought at the Battle of Yorktown. His petition was denied, not because he didn't serve, but because he was not considered fully white. This was the unspoken reality. Families split across lines of race, some remembered as patriots, others discarded as shadows. The revolution promised freedom, but not for all. How do we know any of this? In 1989, a small collection of letters and deeds was discovered in a locked chest in Prince George's County, Maryland. Inside were faded family records, land sales signed by Etienne Duvall, letters referring to his children by name, and even a birth certificate marked with the word mulatto in large ink. Historians who reviewed the chest concluded that someone in the early 1800s had intentionally hidden these documents. Why? Because the main Duvall family line was rising in prominence, producing judges, governors, even future Supreme Court justices. Admitting to a mixed-race branch could have ruined their ambitions. So the chest was sealed, and the truth forgotten, until now. The irony of the Duvall legacy is striking. One branch ascended into American aristocracy, white, wealthy, and powerful. The other lived in obscurity, navigating the precarious reality of being neither enslaved nor fully accepted. By the mid-1800s, members of the hidden line appear in census records under shifting identities, sometimes listed as colored, other times as white. Families lived on razor-thin boundaries, choosing when to pass and when to claim their truth. Some migrated westward, blending into new communities. Others stayed, their names lost in misfiled church books. And still, oral history preserved what the written records erased. Grandmothers whispered, "We are Duvalls too." In the 21st century, DNA testing began to unravel centuries of concealment. People who never knew each other suddenly discovered shared ancestry. Names like Carter, Williams, and Smith traced their roots back to one man, Marine Duvall. Family reunions brought together white descendants from the documented line and black descendants from the hidden branch. For the first time in centuries, the branches faced each other. The reactions were mixed. Some embraced the truth. Others rejected it, unwilling to accept that their prestigious lineage was built on denial and erasure. But the reality of ancestry does not bend to human prejudice. Blood remembers even when paper does not. The story of the Duvalls is more than genealogy. It's a mirror, a reminder that history is never as clean as we are taught, that behind every polished family tree are branches cut away, stories suppressed, lives reclassified. The truth of our ancestors is messy, complicated, and often uncomfortable. But only by uncovering it can we honor the fullness of their lives. So tonight, as you think about your own family story, ask yourself, what parts were passed down to you, and what parts were hidden? Because somewhere, in a locked chest, in a faded record, or in your very DNA, the truth is waiting.